Imagine having a reverse Yelp, where we rate customers on their attitudes, manners, and how well they tip. What review would you leave? Came on opening weekend of one of the biggest movies of the year 5 minutes before the showtime, and then was shocked they'd have to stand in line for their concessions. Then complained to management that they missed their movie. Like, what did they think was going to happen? Like we'd have a reserved placed in line for them because of their obvious VIP status as King Douche Lord of Asland? Brought infant to rated R movie, then complained that it was too scary and demanded a refund. 0 stars. Wish I could give 0 stars. Brought their 11 and 13-year-old to see Step Brothers, and despite being told several times during the ticket buying process that it was a rated R movie and not appropriate for children, argued that it couldn't be that bad. Then after the scene where Will Ferrell puts his balls on the drum, said suddenly it becomes disgusting and awful movie. How could you sell us tickets to that? Real events inspired this post. I had many similar experiences with the Team America World Police movie. People would get upset that I wouldn't sell them a child's price ticket to an R-rated movie, and then also complain that the movie wasn't appropriate for kids. My favorite is when the kids clearly knew that it was an adult movie, but had told their parents it was a kids movie, and were believed because of the puppets. Becky and Judy, 5 stars. After 2 glasses of Tempranillo, Judy is going to order a half glass. Ask if she went to physical therapy today for her shoulder. If she did, give her the full glass. Becky will wink at you. This is wholesome and I love it. Or, this is cute. Her kids dropped the popcorn, so she asked me for a broom to let them clean it up themselves. I said it wasn't necessary, but she insisted that she wanted to raise them to be conscious of the fact that when they make a mess someone has to clean it up. Nice lady. 5/5. I thought the lady was going to end up going nuts for not getting the broom, but this actually turned out really wholesome. I wish the people that came to my restaurant could teach their kids like this. I work in a restaurant and this actually happened one time. Was a little awkward. Their kid dropped some stuff, or may have thrown it. I had no issue cleaning it up, but they insisted I'd give them the rag and make their kid clean it up. Was super nice but awkward. Lol. My son, when he was 1 or 2, would have a radius of rubbish and food around his high chair at restaurants. We always asked for a broom and tipped well afterwards. Drunken fool tried to return half bottle of booze because it tastes off. Watch him get in his car and promptly called police to report drunken driver. I love it. Perfect. The drunk duck. Laugh out loud. That reminds me of a time I bought a case of a local brewery's seasonal beer. I was happily drinking my way through it when my wife, now ex, started a bottle and said this is off. My nephew works for the brewery, so she sent him a picture, and, picture after picture, he ends up reporting the bottle shop to the brewery as they are not supposed to be selling full cases according to their agreement. Now I can't buy a good case from the local because of that. On the flip side, was going away for a weekend with friends, and on the way out of town, found a shop that was selling a case of their beer. It was a limited edition of, I shit you not, what I consider to be one of the finest Nipas I've ever had, and I've had Nipas cooled in the snow on the patio in New England. I had spent 2 years asking my nephew when they were going to brew that one again, and here it was, before my known eyes. Sent him a photo of the case and the boot, telling him I'd won the lottery. He replied I had, and asked me where I bought it. Told him to go f himself. I love my family. Of course it tastes off if you've only gotten down half of it. It's an acquired taste, which you'll only know after a full bottle. But by all means, nice revenge. Came in. Ordered. Ate their food in silence. Left minimal mess and a reasonable tip. Then buggered off. My perfect customer. 5 stars. This is my husband and I when we have a night out. Lol. We are usually too tired from the week and all our other obligations to be very exciting dinners, so we sit there quietly and send memes to each other. Then get dessert to go. Edit 2 to 2. True love. A customer walked in the front door of my very closed, curbside only pub today and asked if we had any steak. He had to ignore a giant sign saying, "Please stay outside, we will bring your phone/online order out to you." 0 out of 5 stars. I almost had a rage stroke. Edited to at, this is the second time he's done it. One of the regulars at the DQ did this too. The doors were locked but I try every day. Found out he had dementia. If it's an older man, he may have an excuse, even if he doesn't know/can't remember. This guy's in his late 30s. I stayed at an Airbnb in China and my host reviewed me. Google translation, very handsome big boy. I used to be a case manager for Airbnb and was regularly asked to audit reviews for violations of TOS. My favorite one, that I had to leave up BTW, was Greg and his wife were a lovely couple, would love to host them again 5 stars. Greg wanted the review taken down. His wife wasn't on the trip. Very friendly, usually gets a root beer to start, and a coffee after their meal, eats out on break from lunch daily, usually wants quick service and minimal interruptions, sometimes eats with a client. Usually tips well. Made many additional requests throughout the meal during peak dinner hour. Left the table disgustingly messy. Did not tip well. This guest is awesome. Likes to take suggestions, so offer a drink and make sure to have some lesser known dishes memorized. Will talk to you for as long as you let them. I would mostly try to let other waiters know what to expect from tables. Is it okay to ask for suggestions? I feel like I'd get an internal eye roll for that sometimes. Generally I'll nail it down to 2 to 3 things that look good and then ask our server which one I should get. Note, their suggestion has no bearing on their tip. I like giving suggestions because I know a lot of good things on the menu that a guest would usually just glance over or not want to risk trying. Any preferences help to narrow it down, helps a lot. Like what kind of protein you want, what kind of veggies you like, a specific flavor profile, how hungry you are, or type of dish, entree, appetizer, salad, side, sandwich. I suggest different dishes for different party sizes too. Even if you just ask what your server's favorite thing on the menu is, they'll probably give you a couple great options. It also makes for a good talking point later on in the meal when I'm checking on my tables. Nice, pleasant man. Always orders the same sandwich every time, making preparing for him simple despite the complicated sandwich. Tips well, never talks longer it takes to complete his order. Also, the only male regular over 50 that doesn't leer at my underage coworker. 5 stars. Love this. On the other hand, came to dinner with his 14-year-old niece and their family. Was leery and flirtatious the whole meal. When I brought their check he asked, in front of their mixed age party of 7, "Can you do 3 ways?" But I'm sure you get that all the time. 2/5, because someone else at the table called him a pig and tipped me 25%. Edit, I don't know if it makes it better or worse, but I work in casual fine dining. The bills are between $100 to $300. Tipping 25% is not normal, that's why I was grateful. Lots of people tip more generously as steps of service and formality increase. She lied about her hair history, wanted white blonde in one session on her virgin dark hair, that the strand test determined was a lie. Said she could do it herself at home, turned hair orange instead. Came back to get a color correction, and after explaining why she couldn't have blonde she said she'd settle for anything but orange, and lighter than the dark. Gets a beautiful chocolate/caramel color and cries because it's not blonde and too expensive, and also leaves no tip. -5 stars, not worth my time. You must have met my mom. She was going through a rough time post divorce, had done a home bleaching alternating sometimes with the cheapest hair bleach at the cheapest stylist she could get to cover her grays for several months. Decided she wanted to go brunette once. My sister, in cosmetology school, said don't use the natural hair color you bought, it will turn your hair orange. Guess what? Emergency trip to the stylist after that for Mom Old McDonald. I'm sure it wasn't cheap that time. I, a guy, had this happen to me when I was about 16 and a goth. I'd grown my hair out and cut it into a sort of floppy mohawk. Dyed it blue-black and then for some reason decided I wanted it lighter. Turned out bright orange, and not in a good way. Orange is not the color of the goth. Eventually, after rushing downtown really early and desperately hoping not to be seen by anyone I knew, another couple of experiments left it a mixture of colors from black through to white. Then it turned into dreads. I thought I looked cool as but I probably looked a right knob. Ho hum. Thank you. Thank you. Please like and subscribe or else. Laugh out loud. I love you.